Man, that is dark. All right. Check, check, 1, 2. I think we got some sound. Got some really crappy light. God, that is just atrocious. That is atrocious. What's going on? It's LAPrepper. We're going to have just a short little live stream, probably an hour or less, maybe even 30 minutes. I would say that it's been a long day, but haven't done that much today, so don't think I can really. Long day of thinking, a part of the day of waiting and part of the day thinking, and a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of spring cleaning, a little bit of reorganizing. Wonder who it is. Wow. So you guys are good. You gals are good. You remember to hit that thumbs up right when you get in. I always forget. Every time somebody says, remember to hit that thumbs up button, I'm like one of the ones that has to remember to hit the button. Oh man, my sinus is just like, I don't know, allergies or something. Like I got something in the back of my, I don't usually get bad allergies, but it's been like really overcast and icky here recently, so I don't know. When I say icky, I mean, freezing 67 degrees. I've had to hunker indoors. This is my WROL when LA gets below 70 Fahrenheit. Oh, I should have got my scissors, but thanks to one of my subs. Yeah, I got lights on, brother. I have two lights on. I have one light above me, which is kind of crappy because it's pointing behind me, and then I have a little crappy. Ideally, I would turn the whole thing around. Okay, ideally, I would have like two super bright ass lights coming at me, but I don't have two super bright ass lights right now. I have one crappy flashlight and one. This is an LED light. That's why I save so much on electricity. That's I think it's like a 7 watt, 10 watt, 13 watt. It's not a lot of watts light, but I need like two right here, one this way, one this way, and yeah. So I apologize, but I've been a little bit of a starving student. Not starving. I mean, I'm eating right now, but that's the phrase. Starving student implies not as much discretionary income. Now, granted, I'm sure I could have picked up a lamp at a yard sale or done something to rectify this issue, but I like to make my viewers suffer, and I like to prove the point that you don't need a whole bunch of fancy equipment to have a live stream. You can have a perfectly medium quality or low quality live stream in the dark. Just pretend we're around a campfire. Maybe I'll get a really bad encoder and I'll have like some fake flames right here. Well, my webcam, the lens on my webcam is about this big. So if you know anything about photography, small lenses do not let in a lot of light and you can't capture. Like if I had a better camera, it would look way more light behind me. Like it's really, I can see in the bathroom. It's not, I mean, it's dark, but I can see. The camera is not picking up any of that. So I promise that it's not that dark. And praise, I pray every day that I will never need glasses because I'm perfectly happy without them. What's going on, Bayou? Mm. Hello, Virginia. I was watching your stream today. Camp sounds very fun. Not much, Bayou. You're only starting a homestead. No, you're homesteading a little, right? Or you got a location you're working on? Crap, now I gotta go check out your channel. I forget. I need to make a list of like all the projects. In fact, that would be a really cool. We should like sort of all, anyone that wants to, anyways, should start a Google Docs on what projects they're working on so that other preppers like for a quick reference, Okay. But like if somebody's working on solar and I'm looking to get into some solar, they could put like little notes about what they're working on, what their stuff is. I think like Prepper Central, that'd be really cool because a lot of prepping is a lot of information, I find. A stove. Like your house stove? What are you doing to your house stove, Bayou? I don't know much about stoves. Teach me something about stoves. If you already made a video about it, I apologize. I haven't seen it yet. Talking about hurricane season, oh, that was a month ago. Still. Survivalist stuff is good, but there's a lot of buts. I think it's an important skill set, making a fire, building shelter, hunting, trapping, purifying water, stuff like that. But considering that most of us, most of the time, are going to have some sort of access to Okay, let me turn on the slow chat real quick. I hate to do this, but just so I don't get nothing more entertaining than trying to watch me read through hundreds of comments. I was going to upload a video today, and it reminded me that probably 3/4 of the last dozen videos I've done are live streams. In fact, I'm trying to convince myself to buy a new computer, even though I don't really need one. And one of the things I realized today was that I would love to upload a video while I'm live streaming from my computer. I could probably do it, considering the resolution on my webcam's not very high, but if and when I get a better webcam, and I will at some point, I don't trust my old laptop to live stream and upload a video at the same time, even though it probably could. Maybe I should try it just for the heck of it, but another time. But anyways, that's one potential reason. It's like playing video games is not a good reason to get a new computer. You might be a little more productive if it's faster. For me, stuff like video editing, being able to do engineering analysis stuff would kind of count as legitimate reasons. But I don't even like video editing that much, to be honest, even if I had a fast computer. Okay, what on earth am I trying to do right now? That was not what I was trying to do. I am trying to... Here we go. All right, forgive me. I know this is a little bit of a headache, but you're going to have to wait 10 seconds in between posts. That should not be too terrible, I hope. God, it's like getting even darker in here. Oh, wow, that's really weird that... How on earth does letting the light glare in the lens all of a sudden brighten up the picture? That's really bizarre. No, that's almost not so terrible. What's up, Joe Mercado? Okay, back to the comments. Survival stuff. Okay, Anne, so you commented it seems like it'll get crazy fast, though, if you're by a city. Yeah, I mean, depends on the nature of the incident, The Thomas Fire caused everyone in Ventura to evacuate, ultimately. and it got crazy up there, but wasn't crazy for me down here, you know. And that's only an hour away, so it really has to be affecting a really large group, I think, and a long term thing. It's not the short term stuff. It's not, we're not really prepping for like a 3-day power outage. I mean, yeah, you can use your preps if the power goes out for a few days, but I mean, realistically, we're prepping for long term shit hits the fan, or medium term, anyways. If the power's out for a month, and I actually covered this in a video so old, I'm not even going to ask anyone to go watch it, but I made the point that if the power's out for, let's say, a week versus the power being out for a month, that first week still goes the same way. Same, and you can do that analogy in like any time you want. Like if the power's out for 2 weeks versus 2 months, the second week of the 2-week power outage still has the potential to be as crazy as the second week of the 2-month power outage, because you don't really know when it's going to come back on, no matter what the power company says. If it's not on when you wake up on the 14th day, you're still, I mean, most people aren't preppers, first of all. So I don't know, like, I don't know what percentage of the population is preppers, like 1 out of 10,000, 1 out of 100,000. That's a really good question, actually. If you guys, gals, want to try to research what percentage of the population is preppers, I want to look it up right now. I don't know if anyone's done studies on that. An estimate of over 68 million American doomsday preppers have purchased survival materials in light of recent political events or natural disasters. Here we go. I don't want to see 7 surprising prepping statistics. Only 39% of individuals have a basic emergency plan. 75% of healthcare workers are unprepared. 44% of Americans don't have first aid kits in their homes. Oh, I don't like this. Although FEMA surveys could be interesting data. Too complicated. Too many pages. Let's go back to doomsday prepper statistics. More than 160 million This is from finder.com / doomsday prepper statistics. Why don't I just copy and paste it? I'm reading you this link. 160 American adults are estimated to have either recently purchased survival gear or, interestingly, are already in possession of survival gear because they always keep them on hand. Well, no one keeps all their gear on hand, but I know they're talking about ADC, obviously. The remaining 85 million are not preparing for the end of the world as we know it. Of those who report prepping, 36.35% spent up to $400 on survival kits in the last 12 months. I don't know why it says remaining 85, unless this is an old statistic. There's 338 million people in the country, unless, what kind of math are they doing here? 68 plus 160 plus 85. Weird. Maybe maybe those numbers don't match. Interesting. They're showing numbers very close to women and men as far as different categories of purchasing prepper things. Women, interestingly, rank higher as always having survival items on them in case of an emergency, 39.5% to 35.6%. Very interesting. 38% of millennials have purchased survival gear, 31% of Gen X, 17% baby boomers. This is actually a really interesting article. You guys want to check it out. I'll stop going through it right now, but or Bayou Preppers, I'm going to send you a link for a PC. You should build your own PC. Super easy. Well, not super easy, but not the hardest thing in the world. But you can get for $300, $400, $500, you can build yourself. That's for the tower, that is. Build yourself a pretty solid computer. And the nice thing about building your own computer is that just click on completed builds, and you can sort a million ways. But the nice thing, and I'm planning on at some point doing it myself, as I was talking about earlier in the stream. Nice thing about building your own computer is that you can upgrade it a lot easier in the future. New graphics card, new chip, new RAM, new hard drive, whatever you want. So to some extent, you could spend $300, $400 on a PC that's more basic if you don't need it for like video editing, high-end software, gaming, stuff that requires a lot of juice. You can build yourself a $300 computer to browse the internet and do email and Word and Microsoft and stuff like that. Of course, Windows is extra, Office is extra. That's kind of annoying, but I don't know a ton about PCs by you, but honestly, if you really want the cheapest computer out there, get a tablet and a keyboard and a mouse. Dead serious. Tablet, if you're not doing video editing or other high-end stuff, if you're just browsing the internet, posting YouTube videos, whatever, a tablet has more than enough processing power to do that. Even a smartphone, really, but not many people want to watch movies on their smartphone. But yeah, a lot of people don't think about it, but get a used tablet for $100, get a wireless keyboard mouse combo for like $20, $30, and for less than $150, you have a computer to perfectly functional computer. Doesn't have a CD burner, who cares? Doesn't have 5 million ports, who cares? Has one USB port connected to a hub if you want more USB stuff. So that's my advice on the computer. Are all the volcanoes connected underground? Well, magma does come from the center of the Earth, so loosely speaking, I would say they're kind of all connected underground, but generally, I think they're far enough away that, I mean, if for some reason the magma in the Earth was getting excited, who knows why it would be, but if it was, maybe that could leak out. But then you'd have like every volcano getting active, not just like two volcanoes getting active. So could be a lot of things. Could be gravity. Could be built up pressure. Could be the stars. Could be the reptilians. Are you in California, Anne? Why do you have to worry about earthquakes? I thought California. I know California is not the only place that has earthquakes in the country, but well, if the Chinese turn off the power grid, they're not going to make any more money off it, are they? Okay, that deal with the San Jose power station coming under terrorist attack was freaking really weird. That was some weird freaking shit. Like, you never hear about, oh, terrorist attack power station in Metro San Jose. It was some bizarre stuff. I was like, what in the hell are they doing? It's really interesting that you brought that up, and I wonder if you live in the Bay Area where I'm from. Well, I don't know if we're screwed if we have an EMP, but life gets a lot harder, you know? That's why I always tell people food and water, food and water. I just told a 15-year-old kid on Step 1 Survival's stream today. And he's like, how should I start prepping? I was like, get 90 days of food and water. Go from there. And one of the guys was like, 90 days is a lot of water. I'm like, yeah, it is. Trust me, I barely have 30 days of water, and I feel like I got gallons of water coming out my ears. You know, Joe, it's funny you mention about that. Start cooking up all the stuff in the refrigerator. I read a interesting post on Reddit recently, and the guy was talking about first responders, second responders, and third responders. First responders being, EMS, police, all that stuff. But the second responders being kind of like the low, search and rescue, volunteer firefighters, state militias, CERT, Red Cross, organizations like that. Then third responders being kind of like normal day-to-day people who are just stepping in because people need help. And they were saying that one thing that really helps if you're a second or a third responder is to have like big cooking pots and kind of have the idea in your head that, look, if the power's out, we just need to have a block party. Everyone get all the food in your fridge. We're all going to cook it all. We're just going to have a big party because you probably have more food than you can eat. So you may as well, right? Like, now's not really the time to be selfish. You can either give it to your neighbor or you can throw it in the trash. Up to you. Or if you're a prepper, you put it in your freezer that's powered by your battery bank, that's powered by off-grid solar, and you say, you know what? Yay, I'm a prepper. Well, I'm not as nihilistic on FEMA myself, but I'm also not a big fan of camps. Okay, nihilistic was the wrong word. Pessimistic? Pessimistic. I live in a state that used to put people in camps in World War II just because what country they thought they were from. I live in a state that used to sterilize men and women. Okay, my state's effed up. California's effed up so many ways. So trust me, my distrust for the government is already there, but until I see personally FEMA do evil stuff, I can't really speak much on it. Oh no, Bayou. That's not that's a little scary. So the ransacking kind of takes a couple days. Puerto Rico had it bad, but I don't know about the first, second day as much. It was kind of like a little bit later on. In fact, we could ask, what's up, Ooples? We can ask, Prepared to Thrive, I think. Spent some time in Puerto Rico doing some stuff. Oh, Bayou. I'm sorry to hear about your mobility situation. Got to get you a tricycle or something. I gave a shout out the other day to Kaylin Strain trying to raise money for a tricycle since her last one got stolen. Bayou, you're making me sad, but I appreciate you sharing this stuff with us. What's going on, James? Bayou, if you need the computer for gaming and video, just put like basic gaming build or something. You kind of need to. I mean, it'll probably be about 400 to 600 for the tower, maybe 5 to 7. Um, plus a screen, plus a keyboard. And honestly, video cards are expensive right now. Well, moderately expensive. RAM is expensive as crap. The price of RAM, random access memory, has gone up like 300%. It's like the RAM that I bought for my laptop. God, I could even look it up if I found where the heck I bought it, but I think I paid like $45 and I have two 8 gig chips in there. Oh, I have two 4 gig chips. It's kind of lame. No wonder this thing's so damn slow. But I think I had 4 gigs, and then I bought two new 4 gigs. I had two 2 gigs in there, and I bought two 4 gigs. I think it was like $45 or something. But now it's just unbelievable. I was just on PC Parts Picker the other day messing around. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, tablet wouldn't really work if you're trying to do online game stuff. I was aware of the Orville Dam failing, but I wasn't aware of any nefarious activities. I mean, I think that when you look at the failure, it had been like the dirt under the part where it broke had been eroding for quite a while. Excuse me. So either they didn't inspect it. I mean, I think they knew the spillway maybe had some issues and they didn't repair it, or I don't know the complete deal with the spillway, but it got really high and they didn't want to release water. And then they started releasing water, and then that kind of got worse. And then they stopped releasing water, and then it got really high again, and just kind of really bad timing, unfortunately, with all the rain. Well, I haven't been to Venezuela, but yes, I am aware of the Venezuela situation, Anne, and it's catastrophic, to say the least. And the craziest part to me is that everyone's just kind of like when I talk about a lot of different things in prepping, but like I was mentioning with the St. Thomas fire, how everyone in Ventura had to evacuate, and everyone in LA was like, whatever, yeah, that's really rough for them, but it's not really any skin off my back. Venezuela's right like that right now. Here we are, probably most of us in a first world country talking about, oh, I wonder what it's like, if the power goes out. And here, we're munching on snacks and food, and our fridge is full and the power's on. Meanwhile, Venezuela, people are hungry. Their dollar is worth, like, their bolivar is just, I mean, they're seriously having WRL over there right now. Right this moment, somebody is probably getting in a fight over a loaf of bread or something, right? Or worse. And it's just terrible. Maduro is not doing many favors, and I guess he has some election coming up, another election. I think I was reading a comment. One of the Venezuelans said that even if Jesus Christ was running against him, he couldn't win. Jesus Christ, but he's having an issue with his military deserting him because the military is not getting paid and they're not getting fed. And I was reading a quote. One of the soldiers is like, "I'm going to starve if I keep doing this job. Like, I can't work and not. I mean, there's the oath you took, and then there's the fact that you're going to freaking die. And if you really value the oath to protect your country, you kind of need to be able to feed yourself. I mean, Christ." So once he loses his military power, that's the only thing keeping him afloat. The people don't love him. At least I don't think most of the people like him, even if he has a few holdouts that think it's, all Hitler's fault or somebody else's fault or whatever. But Puerto Rico Ready. I have not heard of that one, Hooples. Thank you. Check that one out. Hey, I'm the 100th subscriber. Yay. Assuming that's the right channel, that is. Anyways. I like your thoughts, Joe. You have the right to live. You're the captain of your ship of life. Don't run it aground. Yeah, California would beg to differ. I was talking with someone at the gun range the other day about the Constitution, and he was saying, what do you think about these these something? What did he call them? The 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 gun sanctuary cities. And I said it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you have to call your city a sanctuary from state laws that are contrary to federal law. It's, I just can't. I mean, do I need to put up flags around my apartment that says this is a sanctuary apartment? Like, Jesus Christ. The amendments in the Constitution is supposed to be good anywhere in the country. And I don't know about the territories, to be honest, but anywhere in the country. So this idea that this state or that state or that state, like you don't interpret, well, I guess states do interpret the First Amendment differently, but generally the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, most of the amendments are not kind of interpreted on this, case by case basis. But for some reason, the Second Amendment gets thrown under the bus. And we shouldn't have allowed it. I should have never stood for it, but I guess that's just the way it goes. Sometimes she goes and sometimes she don't. To quote Ray from Trailer Park Boys. That's unfortunate, Bayou. Yeah, I'm sure your story is not uncommon. Yeah, if I had to climb a palm tree, I could, but I'd rather throw a rope and a wrench up there or something, or make a trebuchet. I'm not climbing a coconut tree or a palm tree. I think a coconut tree has coconuts and palm tree has palm dates. But anyways, um, or is it a coconut palm? I'm gonna look this up now. Is it called a coconut palm tree? The coconut tree is a member of and the only species of the genus Cocos. Botanically, it is a drupe and not a nut. What the hell is a drupe? A stone fruit is an in Jesus, I can't even indehiscent. Damn, I cannot say that word. Indehiscent. Good lord. Indehiscent fruit with an outer fleshy part, an exocarp or skin, and mesocarp, or flesh. Who knew plants could be so interesting? The pit, stone, or pyrene is a hardened endocarp with a seed. Why do scientists need to make big fancy words for things? Why can't you just call it skin and flesh? Why do you have to call it an exocarp and a mesocarp? Swear, damn scientists. Hayward! Hayward. I used to go to Cal State Hayward, and then they changed the name to a name that no one will ever know on the entire goddamn planet except you, Ann. Cal State East Bay. Got a business degree from Cal State East Bay, formerly known as Cal State Hayward, which makes sense because it's in Hayward. East Bay is a really big frickin' region. That's like calling it CSU South Bay or CSU Peninsula. They call Cal State San Francisco CSUSF. Or actually, they call it San Francisco State. I'm sorry. Sacramento State, San Francisco State, SFSU. Anyways, still, they don't call it the tip of the peninsula state or the north end of the peninsula state. You know, they don't call my college CSU 15 minutes east of downtown LA. In fact, if they called it CSU 15 min east of DTLA, it would be just as legitimate, navigationally speaking. Anyways. Hooples, you have been commenting like a 14-year-old teenager today. What is wrong with you? Has it been a long week, Hooples? Why are you getting all crazy on us, Hooples? I don't even know what VCO is. That's how connected I am to the. I know what PSO is, but I don't know what VCO is. All right, let's look up VCO. What the heck? Voyage Century Online? In the Age of Sail. Oh, that's cool. Sailing games are always interesting, how much they butcher the art of sailing. Like sometimes they don't even care about the wind. You just throttle up and you just go any direction. Like it doesn't matter. Okay. Trying to catch up to the comments, but I keep rambling. I watch movies on my smartphone. I'm not reading Hooples. In fact, oh, let's try to keep it PG, Hooples. Let's try to keep it PG. I mean, that word you used is like PG-13 word. So, you know, granted, I think most of us are adults here, but anyway, tiny homes, yes. Well, Jerry Brown's gone, isn't he, Anne? We're gonna have either Heroin Needle Newsom, which is my name for him, or Trump back Jim Cox, or John Cox, I think. I'm not the biggest fan of him, only because he's like from Chicago, and I feel like Chicago's a shithole. No, it's kind of an unfair thing to like put on him, but I just have a feeling he's got old bad Chicago ties for some reason. Just in time, yeah. What's going on? I was on your stream for a couple moments, and then I kind of went for a walk, and I was kind of hanging out, and you know, I like to say hi, but I also don't like to comment for the sake of commenting. Like sometimes I'll start commenting on stuff, and it'll sidetrack the whole side chat into like some different thing, and sometimes I feel a little guilty about like getting a little too active in the side chat, so I kind of like to let the people running their channel do their thing. I don't remember what the army did, Joe, to answer your question. I don't know if you're asking me that. Oh, you're asking Anne. I don't know what kind of civil defense organization that's non-military you're talking about, Hooples. We do have some state militias, but we don't have like a civil defense force like Canada. We have like the National Guard and other things like that. But you enlist to the National Guard. You don't. It's not. Anyways, I don't think ours works out quite the same way. Well, Bayou, as far as your videos, I would recommend just doing them raw. Don't edit them. Just use your cell phone if you have a smartphone. If not, get a little digital camera, 30, $40, and just upload them. Now, granted, you do need to upload them to the internet. Without a computer, that could be a little dicey. Um, Public library, I know, is kind of not a phenomenal option, but anyways, I don't want you to get discouraged by you. Just if even if you don't have a computer, even if you don't have the best smartphone in the world, I certainly don't. My smartphone cost all of, I think, uh, $80 or something. I don't think I paid 100 for it. I might have even paid 60 for it. I can't remember, but it does everything I need it to. So, Anne's a nurse. Hooples works in the medicinal field too. He teaches the youngins and he works in the hospital. At least that's what he claims to do. I think he just sits in the back office and watches YouTube all night, but that's just me. Oil's going up. Good news for Venezuela. Not going to save them. I mean, yes, of course it is good news for them because theoretically, that's going to enrich the people, but they're having trouble just paying their bills. I mean, just keeping on time with their debt. They're like close to defaulting, and I think the only reason that banks haven't been a little bit harder on them is that like the saying goes, if you owe the bank $1,000, it's your problem. If you owe the bank $1,000,000, it's their problem. So right now, Venezuela is the bank's problem, not Venezuela's problem. They're SOL anyways. Well, everybody's not drop. Anne, what channels are you watching? They're like talking about the end of the world. You got to stop watching so many end of the world channels. Not everybody's dropping the dollar, but there is pressure. China with their petro yuan, Iran's trying to stop trading in the dollar. Why do you think we're not friends with Iran? I mean, there's several reasons, but one of them is that they're not a fan of the dollar. Why weren't we a fan of Saddam? Why were we a fan of Gaddafi? Why weren't we a fan of who's the other one? Saddam was Iraq. Gaddafi was Libya. I mean, Assad more to do, I think, with geography than about the dollar. But yeah, why do you think North Korea didn't want to give up its nukes? Because North Korea saw what happened to Libya, saw what happened to Egypt. Now, granted, they have China as their buddy, so for us to mess with um, North Korea would mean messing with China, and that gets messy. So I mean, is it going to affect the value of the dollar? Sure, absolutely. But is the dollar going to collapse because of it? I don't think so. I think a little competition for the dollar is good. It might make us improve our policy a little bit, or not. We might just keep hyperinflating into infinity. Oh my gosh, without power for 6 months in the winter, Bayou? Heart's breaking over here. Don't forget to prepare your pets. I know, I prefer the Spitfire method myself. little bit of barbecue sauce goes a long way. I guess we could ask the. Oh, I'm not gonna say it. I was almost gonna make a racial joke about eating pets, but let's just say that I didn't just make a racial joke about eating pets and asking people about how to cook their pets. Solar Street. Okay, so what's Luis of Puerto Rico? Oh, the guy from Puerto Rico. Ready? Cool, cool. Yeah, definitely check out that channel. Yes, Bayou. I'm sure most of us did. Another outcast in society. Really, really terrible, terrible thing. Got access to guns illegally. Assaulted and murdered some of his students in a gun-free zone. I can't really talk about that. It's well, let's not worry about counting the school shooting so much because unless you're counting all the reasons that people die, I don't like to just focus on like what if people falling down stairs became the next thing? How many deaths by falling downstairs 2017? Ellis injury law. According to the most recent data on stairway accidents in the United States, around 12,000 people die from falling down steps each year. So imagine instead of getting all animated about school massacres, which are terrible, imagine if we had this much hype about people falling down stairs. Like, oh, the third, I mean, 12, what is that a day, right? That's 32 people a day die from falling down stairs. Where's the march for that? I want to make a T-shirt now that says 32,000 people die a year. It has to stop, or they need to stop. And then on the back, it's going to say falling down the goddamn stairs. It's a school shooting is a terrible thing. Any shooting is a tragic thing. But I also think that people dying is kind of a tragic thing. And my personal belief is that guns have been vilified predominantly by people that want to control us. You know, the elite haven't been able to stop us from buying cars and buying computers and surf the internet, but they have had some amount of gun control lobby, you know, which is why, of course, we're seeing these gun sanctuary cities, which is kind of a ridiculous idea in and of itself. I mean, you would think the governor of these gun sanctuary cities would just like go and arrest the mayor and say, I'm arresting you because you have stated that you're going to undermine the constitution of the state of whatever because of your gun sanctuary city laws. I would expect some pushback from the state on this. It's going to be really. I think it's a lot more fascinating from the legal perspective than the gun perspective. Gun perspective is one thing, but the legal perspective, I think, is what's really interesting about that. See you, Hooples. Take care. Yeah, I don't know why they named it. I mean, I think maybe the president that was on their way out wanted to do something special. I have this is how much faith I have in the average college administrator. I really don't think they do anything useful. I think they should basically all be fired, every single one of them. Have volunteers, have the students, have the teachers run stuff. Don't pay someone to run a school. Schools need to be run, absolutely, or ran. I should know. I went to school, but I don't think we need to pay people $100,000 to do whatever it is they're going to do. I know there's a lot of like important stuff that schools do and research and getting funds and getting students and good teachers and stuff like that. But I don't know, just so many programs and so much crap. And like, there's so much garbage offered by my school that's just a complete waste of money. So many things my school does is just throwing money down the toilet. Kind of drives me crazy. Yeah, well, Chirac is just not really a great place in general, so I don't trust anyone from Chicago. A diver medic. What is a diver medic? Is that someone who like rescues people from boats that are like capsized or something? Like that cook on the Concordia? Wasn't there a cook like in the kitchen for like 2 days after it sank? You guys remember that? That was some crazy. That was Man, that ship was just like they recovered it too. They recovered it eventually. Not recently, but well, kids get access to guns that aren't secured properly. That's the answer, and it's fairly clear. Um, I mean, the specific way that he got the gun might not be clear right now, but adults need to keep their guns locked. Even if it's not the law in your state, you should. Even if your kid knows how to shoot, sure, if your kid's responsible, give them the combination. There's stories of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids defending the home from an intruder. But that being said, the bottom line is sometimes people are just going to do terrible things, and it's sad. And having a gun, can exacerbate the matter. But all right, Hooples with the with the guns are violence. America's all going to kill each other statistics. I think the gun violence personally is a symptom of the difficulties in this country. Personally, because why would someone that had their life together want to shoot somebody else? You know, you shoot somebody else if you're committing a crime, if you're trying to cover something up, if you mentally have issues, if you're a gangbanger, if you're an illegal immigrant and you're not worried about going to jail. There's a lot of reasons that people commit. awful acts, but it's usually not outstanding citizens with normal paying jobs that, deal with their problems like rational adults. So how do we get people to not act crazy and not do things with cars and knives in their hands and guns? That's the challenge of society, right? Or is it? Is it the job of the state to enforce order on the people, or is it the job of the people to encourage order in their own communities? We pushed communities have pushed off the security onto these third party police, sheriff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Used to be the communities when we were more rural kind of, took care of their own issues. But we've moved on to, no, protect me. I'll just make a call. Please stop attacking me. Stop shooting me. Put the gun down. We've gone to like asking permit, like hoping to negotiate with the criminal. That's the majority of tactics employed by the average American is either I give up, take my wallet, or please don't hurt me. Majority of Americans, that's their plan for dealing with crime is, please don't hurt me. Not really a good plan, if you ask me. But anyways, yeah, Joe, that Cuban plane crash was. All right, Hoople, stop trolling on the gun stuff. The federal government does a check on people buying guns, but the bottom line is you can't outlaw crazy. You can't just say stop being crazy, stop doing crazy shit, stop assaulting people, stop raping people, stop murdering people, stop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't. That's not how it works. So I don't think it's personally an issue of cutting corners. Problem is you just can't outlaw crime. If you could outlaw crime, there wouldn't be any crime. I know that's like a gross oversimplification. Yeah, I agree, Bayou. I completely agree. I don't want to send my kids to school. I'll I will school them. They will be educated, but I don't want to send them to school. It's just not. There's just too much that can go wrong between other kids and the teachers, and I don't. The world has changed in the last 30 years from when 30 plus odd years when I started going to school. It's not the same as it used to be. Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. People probably were a lot nicer to each other because people did have guns and people did get shot. You didn't. If you ran your mouth, you got punched in the face. That was the old West way. And now you can run your mouth and claim that you're triggered in your safe space and blah blah blah, and you get away with it. I mean, Bayou, there's so many people that could do the job of protecting schools. Security people, teachers, veterans. I think putting veterans in schools, armed veterans, would be such a win-win because they already have training. A lot of them have trouble with employment and they want to feel meaning in their life. That's one of the big things with veterans is they feel so much meaning and sense of belonging when they're in the military because everything is so regimented and you're part of a bigger team, versus you get out of the military and it's like, do whatever you want. We don't care about you. Your coworkers don't care about you. Your boss doesn't care about you. There's zero sense of camaraderie. There's zero sense of accountability. When you're in the military, everyone has, and speaking just from experience of other people and what I know about it, I was never active myself, but everyone has that common goal. At least most people have that common goal. Let's protect our country. Let's protect America. Let's be good citizens. You have you kind of on the same page, so to speak. But so I think putting veterans in schools would be a really phenomenal way to, you know, one way of doing it. But like I said, I don't think gun violence or violence in general is. I don't think if you just look at violence and say we need to end the violence, we need to stop the violence, we need to march for the violence, you're missing the point. By the time somebody's at the point where they're going to commit an act of violence, there's all this other shit that's been built up behind that, from troubles at home, troubles at work, trouble with relationships, trouble with the law, trouble with their spirituality, whatever it is. Most cases, you're not getting a whole complete person just flipping. You're getting someone who had kind of a path to being a little troubled to more, however that goes. Maybe it goes up, but anyway, you kind of get the idea. Yeah, exactly, Joe. I mean, I joke that my firearms are the laziest firearms in the world. They sit in the closet all day. They don't get a job. They never leave the house. They don't do chores. It's they do what they're told. In fact, I asked my Maverick to try to dislocate my shoulder, and it tried pretty damn hard the other day. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Joe, you're right. They're just that's why that's why it really pains me that California is not good on carrying, and that it's such a county dependent thing. It's just ludicrous to me. And not because I'm like a gun nut. I'm really not. But imagine if your Fourth Amendment rights were good in Arizona, and then you got to California and they just stopped your car and searched the whole car. And you said, why are you searching my car? What's your probable cause? And they said, oh, we don't need probable cause. It's California. Deal with it. I mean, that's what people need to understand about infringement on the Second Amendment, is that it's an infringement on a constitutional right. That's really the big deal. Yes, it's about guns and tyranny and defending yourself, but it's also about states infringing on the Constitution, and that's a big no-no, in my opinion. I'm kind of a constitutionalist, even though the party doesn't really get a lot of credit. But um, yeah, I know. I can imagine how scary it would be by you, and that's why I said I know it's going to be hard financially, economically. I guess that's the same thing. Time wise, um, homeschooling your kids is not an easy thing to just say, "Oh, I'm just going to homeschool my kids." Not everyone can pull that off. But in 1974, I had a school cop. Think about it, plain clothes every day. You had a cop at your school, really? That's really interesting. Vets would love it. Vets would do it for free. They really would. And I think it would be so beneficial to the vets as well as the students. Um, it could be a really good program. Well, yeah, like they say, Joe. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away, and that's why. That's why, yeah, that's why. Yeah, but Hooples, one post about gun stats is different than like 12 posts about, I know you don't like guns, Hooples, but I can barely handle it. I can handle a couple posts about guns, but I can't handle you going on like a 12 comment tirade about gun stats and more gun stats. I mean, you work in the medical profession, for Christ's sake, Hooples. Why are you on and on about guns constantly? They're not even like the top 10 cause of death. So, or top 9. You should be on us about strokes and heart disease and lung failure and CPD and all this other stuff, but it's like, don't why people choose guns to hate is because they hate guns. That's something I felt for quite a while now. Like I said, nobody cares about people falling downstairs or people overdosing or people getting into car accidents. You don't hear like, I'm going to march for DUI victims. When was the last time anyone marched for a DUI victim? They don't. But oh, it's guns. Oh, it's guns. Oh, it's guns. It's always the guns. We've got to get rid of the guns. We've got to limit clips and sizes and assault this and weaponize that and background checks for buying ammunition. And it's not going to change the fact that this country has issues. People in this country have issues, and it's not something that the media wants to really talk about. It's not just one thing. It's not just the economy. It's not just glorification of violence. Um, yeah, freedom. I mean, I feel like it's about freedom too, because once you start saying, well, this person stabbed somebody, so no one gets a knife. This person shot someone, so no one gets a gun. This person got a DUI, so no one gets a car. You end up that nobody has anything, and that's not freedom. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Bayou. Suicide, as Hooples was kind enough to mention, suicide is gun deaths by suicide are the majority of deaths um, by firearms, and it's a very tragic thing. Suicide is not. I think it's talked about more in this country than it used to be, but um, it's not talked about enough, and I think it's a very unfortunate thing, especially because I think in a lot of cases it's preventable. You know, I mean, suicide's a really complicated issue, and I don't want to make disrespectful generalizations, but oh, geez, Bayou, that sounds like it sounds like a just a mess. I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happening these days, but we can't let it stop us from moving on and upward and working and volunteering and prepping and trying to be a good citizen. I mean, it can get to be too much. We've all probably gotten to that point where you're watching too many YouTube videos in the end of the world and too many things on earthquakes, the dollar. You watch enough videos and the dollar is going to collapse, you will think the dollar is going to collapse. Oh, what's up, Die Bullfrog? I was just hanging out. Yeah, works both ways. I mean, you would think with the internet that the kids these days would be a little more hip to what's going on, but they proudly wear, communist hammer and sickle, and just kind of conveniently ignore the fact that Stalin murdered tens of millions of people. It's Hooples. I know you hate guns, but like you're gonna get on, like you were already, I think, 3 or 4 comments deep into it, and it's not a divergent voice. I mean, I don't. I just think you're prejudiced against guns, and I don't like to have, like, I believe, Hooples, that you think guns are evil, and that because there's so many guns in this country that we should just. You're amazed that we're not all murdering each other constantly. Like that's the sense that I get from you about your feeling of guns, Hooples. So yes, if you're gonna start commenting a lot of stuff and guns kill these many people and this many this and America has this many guns, like I don't want to see a bunch of comments like that personally. I'm not trying to change your mind or get you to think like a different person. It's fairly well known that you are a gun hater and that guns are the biggest root of all evil in this world. But anyways, God, Hooples, what are you watching, Hooples? What media are you watching that's turned you into this person? I know you're a better person, Hooples. I know somewhere out there there's a real Hooples cat living within you, Hooples, and I don't know what happened to it. I the Hooples that was a nomad and traveled the world and went to concerts. That's that Hooples is in there somewhere. Hooples is in there somewhere. Well, you seem to have plenty of unsupportive things to say about firearms. I've never. I mean, Hooples, honestly, you're like bashing firearms and like you always do, and then you're trying to say, "Well, you got me all wrong, and you don't understand me, and you don't know anything about me." When have you ever said anything supportive about firearms ever? Like, I've never heard you say anything like, I respect the fact that guns are part of American culture. Or I understand that guns can be an effective way to, fight tyranny, or that with as, crazy as things are, the fact that you can't stop criminals from owning a gun, I can understand that you'd want to own a firearm to protect yourself. So I mean, I'm just personally saying, Hooples, I'm not aware of opinions you've expressed about firearms being supportive of them. So maybe I'm wrong and I haven't heard your more supportive points on them, but of all the times I've seen you comment about guns and about deaths, well, you'd have to, if you've made any recent videos about guns, I haven't seen them. Let's check. Let's check the last 2 months of Hoople's videos, since he's trying to call me out on not having watched his channel recently, which is correct, but I basically haven't watched anyone's channel very recently. Okay, Ebola, sailboat, beer, canoeing trip, fire, nature, cabin design. I do want to watch that one. I'm adding that one to my watch list. Darkest Dawn, normal people's opinions, gardening, favorite knife, Avalon Boy, Homestead Frog, something about a box, trespassers, pandemics, fractures, hole in my preps, automation, 500 subscribers, Toronto van attacks, Toronto van attacks, Toronto van attacks, nuclear war, bug out accommodations, friend or foe, VR, facts, fictions, novel. Okay, in the last month, I haven't seen anything about guns, but if it's in the video and it's not specifically about firearms, let me know which one and I'll watch it. If you have a video with revelations about your firearms views, which I am not aware of. Hoobles, I can't watch like hours and hours and hours of your video. If there's a specific video or a couple videos that you're talking about this, let me know and I'll watch them. But don't just say, "Oh, you don't know what I think. Oh, it's in a video. Oh, watch all my videos." Seriously, man? Like I can't keep up with everyone and I'm definitely, you know, I mean, I just I don't think we're ever going to be on the same page and that's not there's not a problem with that, but you base to me, and maybe this is just my perspective or the way that you come off or the tone, but it always sounds like this isn't nothing to do. Look, Kooples, you're the one who just brought up this stuff and you're like talking like I'm talking to you because I talk to people on my sub. But wow. Hooples, you're a grown ass man, Hooples. You are as old as my father, and I'm old enough to be a father. You know what? I'm just stop. Just I'm yeah, exactly, Hooples. Even if I hate guns, so what? Exactly. This is why I can't talk with some people sometimes because he's like, "Oh, I don't hate guns. I don't hate guns. You got me all wrong. Oh, well, okay. Well, where do you talk about you not hating guns? Oh, it's in my videos. Well, which video? Oh, well, just go watch all my videos. I don't have time to watch all your videos. Which video? Try watching a video. Okay. And then 5 seconds later, well, what if I hate all guns? Then what does it matter? Is it just me? Am I losing? Am I going crazy here? I mean, look, I don't care if you hate guns or you love guns, but you know, don't try to be something that you're not. Don't claim to be like for guns and then say, well, what's the problem with hating guns? Uh, okay, Die Bullfrog, help me out. What does Hoople's cat think about guns? Because I apparently have no idea what he thinks about guns. Can you please help me out, Die Bullfrog? We're trying to solve the mystery here. Hooples likes to trigger me, and he knows what he's doing. He likes to be snotty and snide, and to be honest, like been kind of aggravating me as of late. And I hate to say that, and I really do like him as a person, but for some reason we just been butting heads recently, and I don't know if it's still about an incident a while ago. It's very good. Thank you, Uncle Al. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things have happened with guns, but the thing is, as soon as I mention it, like He Hooples always has to like get in a dig about American and guns, American and gun violence, and always. So, in case any of you are wondering why I'm coming off like a jerk for putting him in a timeout, that's why. Because every single time guns comes up, he's always just like bam, 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 bam. Like, no, stop. Go make a video about how much you hate guns and how they're terrible. Fine, go for it. You know, but I can't even think about that crap. Like how to prep for an active shooter. It's not saying that it's something you shouldn't consider, but anyways, I'm telling you, this guy. Well, I've once again been brought to frustration by one of my longest term subs over a subject that I should probably just agree to never talk about if he agrees to never comment on, because apparently I've got him all wrong, but he won't help me figure out how to get it right. So, oh well, kind of important. Yeah, no, Acer. Fucking care. I could give two shits about what the Royals are doing. If they're not, getting drunk and taking their clothes off and the tabloids getting pictures, who cares, right? Decock your hammer, right? Cock your hammer is to pull it back. I think you mean decock the hammer. I mean, Die Bullfrog, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And you never answer my question, but if you want to send me an email, if anyone here, I don't have anything to give you. I mean, I guess I do, but if anyone here can find one of Hoople's Cat's videos where he explains what the hell he thinks about guns, let me know and I'll watch it. Yeah, sadly, Joe, most people aren't going to stand up. There's that's why we call them SJWs, social justice warriors, because they just talk and type and type and talk and talk and type and type and do something. Join a militia, start a political movement, give $1,000 to a lobbyist, and have him go save some trees. But if all you're doing is like YouTube videos and Reddit and shouting at your friends on Facebook, oh, gotcha, defense. Okay, thought you were telling me to relax, as in yes. Well, I don't have a revolver, or I don't have a double action. My pistol doesn't have a hammer, but gotcha, gotcha. I love trees too, man. There's nothing wrong with trees. I just use it as like, a hippie thing. Nothing wrong with trees, man. I like oxygen. I like oxygen, and I like working with wood, and paper's kind of nice. So, trees are useful for that. Nothing wrong with being a hippie, man. Hippies had most of life figured out. They had the relaxing part good. They had the free love part down all right. They had the treating other people with respect part down right. But somebody's got to pay the bills, right? We can't all be like living in the forest. So I think, make love, not war, probably the most valuable thing to come out of the hippie movement. But no group is perfect. I don't think any social movement is free from imperfections. I don't know a lot about Wicca, to be honest. I mean, I know some of the more colloquial terms for it, but I really don't know a lot about it. Doesn't surprise me, Die Bullfrog, for some reason. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I probably know what you're thinking on that, Joe. That's funny by you about your mom being a hippie. Oh shit. I never heard of that band, Mark. What's going on? Mock the Hooples. That's funny. Oh, I think Hoople. Okay. Man, I have never heard of them. Yeah, in fact, Die Bullfrog, I made a video of that box. I just haven't uploaded it yet. So thank you again for that. I just haven't uploaded the video because I've been doing other stuff. Brothel glider. I even want to know what that is. Annual hippie migration here. They come to the coast for hookups and spawn. Great use of the fishing term. I like that. Oh, shoes. Brothel glider. Man, I gotta. Well, I'm getting a lot of bad results typing in brothel, so I'm just gonna stop searching for it. Oh, Die Bullfrog. That's very thoughtful, Die Bullfrog. I should let you know, you and well, that I am going to be starting some temporary work on Monday, so I should in the future be somewhat of a less starving individual. So I can't uh, I can't claim to be as needy starting May 21st. I did not walk, Mark, but didn't want to shake the hand of my dean for reasons that I will not explain here. But yeah, I'm not her biggest fan. So, anyways, yeah, I didn't walk. I didn't feel like having my parents come all the way down just to see me walk across the stage and buy, $150 worth of cap and gown stuff. Um, thank you, Mark. We were going to see the SpaceX rocket launch. I was going to meet him at Vandenberg to go watch the rocket launch, but they delayed it. So now it's Tuesday and I got training, so I can't see the damn rocket launch. I guess I'll watch it on live at home, but yeah, long, tough, and awful road. The only thing I got to be honest, Mark, I'm afraid of is if I don't my temp work coming up is for a kind of sciencey company, but not engineering work specifically. I just don't want to like forget everything. I don't think I will. I tried pretty hard to learn a lot of the stuff that I was doing, not just memorize it. But like if I ever wanted to become a PE, I'd have to like put a lot of studying in. A few, not as many as you would think. Um, Tesla's hiring a lot of more techie people, like software, control systems, programming. Um, they have a lot more issues with that, you know, like getting the autopilot, all the electronics to work together. They probably, I think I applied, oh, excuse me. I applied to a couple of jobs at Tesla, but never heard back from them. Thanks, Joe. Hmm. Well, keep in mind, Musk is running the Boring Company, Tesla, SpaceX. I guess that's it, right? That's enough. And not just running, but I mean, he probably works between 70 and 90 hours a week. Maybe 60 on a slow week, maybe 100 on a busy week. But that guy, he, he's in everything. He's in all the companies. When they're digging a tunnel, he's going to the front of the TBM. When they're doing a rocket, when they're working on the Dragon 2, he's all up inspecting it. He's very, very hands on. Like I was watching a video of his the other day, or of SpaceX's, and he was going through the SpaceX factory. That's true, he is. He's going through the factory and he's like, yeah, we just got this machine and this is what this one does, and they're setting this one up. And he was like completely aware of everything that was going. I mean, how many CEOs can walk into a factory and point and say, that's a new machine. We just got that machine. He knew. Probably because he ordered it or he wanted it for something, or somebody told him recently from a meeting and he remembered. But he's just so connected to what's going on. I really respect him a lot for that. Speaking of him being from South Africa, there's one of his early employees was a tech guy. Yeah, I saw that, the BFR. One of his guys got a job because it was South African or something. I like as a joke, but they joke about it because he sounded like he was from South Africa. But I guess the story goes he like walked into a temp company or something, and they were telling him about this company, SpaceX, and he went over there, and it was a real new company. And somebody at the front desk was like, "Oh, you sound like our CEO, Elon," because the guy applying for the job was from South Africa too. Anyways, funny story about South African employee. Well, he's right, Anne. I mean, he's wrong in the sense that the AI will be infinitely infinite doesn't really do justice to how much smarter um, how much smarter the AI is going to be than we are. It's not just a really smart brain. It's like all of us with all our brains connected, all think, how they have like 4-core compute CPUs and like 8-core CPUs. Imagine like a billion core CPU that could do trillions and trillions of calculations every second. That's how smart AI is going to be. AI is going to take over. If it gets bad, it's going to take over every single computer, whether or not it's the foreground or the background or whatever. And God help us. God help us if we can't pull the plug on it. I mean, the bottom line, Anne, is that we can't all be saved, right? Not everyone's going to be saved. Not everyone's going to prep. Not everyone's going to believe in home defense. Not everyone's going to avoid the chip. I mean, just I think like use the iPhone test. I'm going to make a new test now called the iPhone test. And if you're asking, will somebody be willing to get chipped, have a clone built, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just ask yourself, is somebody willing to buy a brand new iPhone? The answer is yes. Do they need a new iPhone? No. Does it make their life that much better? No. Cloud. But it doesn't matter. Hey, I'll be like the smartest prepper in the world if I get the chip, right? Maybe I'll even get a prepper chip. It'll have like fire making tools, and I'll get an implant in my eye. So I'll have like augmented reality. Pretty crazy. Is it game over here in California? Not yet, Mark. But uh, we're seeing a resurgence, somewhat of a resurgence in California. Somewhat of a resurgence, but we have to fight, Mark, for California. It's gonna fight. Lazy. No, I have been lazy. I've been resting on my laurels the last few years a little too much. I will admit that, but I have an opportunity to work my tail off in the near future, so we'll see how that goes. You already got a clone and some water cell unit. Water celluli? It's true. We might all have a chip. Oh, crazy. Wow, why did I read lazy? I am a little crazy, but not that crazy. See, with normal people in the chat, a perfectly normal conversation. Bedtime for bunny goats. Time to ring the rabbit goat. Clock, bell, hare, goat. Fantastic voyage. Oh, I did enjoy our movie talk the other night. Oh wow, that's an old one. I think Futurama or The Simpsons did something on that. So speaking of that, before I go, I was just one of the guy who was it which channel was I watching that was talking about this? It's been around the news a couple places. Let me see if I can find it. But they were talking about some of the different states, yeah, planning on a post-quake exodus from California. Now, a couple interesting things about this. One is that depending on what you believe, sometimes government drills can be suspicious for a variety of reasons. And two is that it really doesn't have to do with the earthquake, although earthquakes, um, earthquakes like a main reason people would bug out of California, but replace earthquake with riots, power outage, nuclear fallout, whatever. Um, and I think that's really interesting. We had to roadblocks on the Cali border to keep out the Dust Bowl refugees in the 20s. I did not know that, Mark. Where did you find that out? That is a fascinating piece of California history. Yeah, you're probably right, Bayou. Or a bicycle and a trailer, or a dirt bike and a motorbike trailer. Grapes of Wrath. I think I saw it a long time ago. Depressing movie. Really depressing movie. I'm actually planning on getting an ultralight one of these days, but since I don't have $5,000 saved up. But someday I'll either buy and build an ultralight and fly it around. It'd be great fun. Sub in the veins of human. Is that a Joe, if you're trying to link to a channel that you want me to sub to, please just go ahead and copy and paste it. I'm not sure. When you said sub in the veins of human, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't doubt that for a second, Joe. Don't doubt that for a second. There's a lot of reasons I want to homeschool my future kids. Hmm. Dust Bowl Texans. Yeah, I mean, you kind of need a landing strip to, and shit hits the fan. You could probably ride your bicycle to the airport, and if you had gas in your plane, you could jump in your plane. But planes and carrying a lot of cargo don't go well together. You'd really want a bug out place that you could land your plane so you could take off from the airport, land at your bug out place, and bug out, do your thing. Yeah, Common Core is school's a joke. Trust me, I've done a lot of school. Education isn't a joke. Learning isn't a joke. Having skills, being a well-rounded person isn't a joke. But the public school system, and I'm really fortunate to have gone to some somewhat decent schools, so I had a somewhat decent public school education. But well, I mean, by you, we're talking about bugging out, right? We're not talking about, yeah, you're not going to be putting hundreds of pounds of water in a, excuse me, in a plane, but at the same time, you're not driving your Chevy Suburban down the freeway if it's all blocked either. So that's why living in the country is really the best way, because bugging out is such a crappy option, especially if you have nowhere to go. Reminds me, somebody said they were going to send me an email tonight. In fact, this morning I was going to meet up with the. Oh, I don't want to be in this email, damn it. This morning I was going to meet up with a group of like minded individuals, but the guy who claims to be in charge of the group has been trying to vet me for 2 weeks and tried to have a Skype call with me, and we never really scheduled it, and we keep going back and forth. And it's flipping driving me crazy. And I finally sent him a message and I was like, look, man, I've been trying to do this thing for 2 weeks and I don't really want to spend another whole 2 weeks doing it. So, like, no offense, but like, balls in your court, man. I don't know if you ever had experience with that, but my patience is not, perhaps not where it needs to be. So spending 2 weeks to do something as simple as make a phone call, I'm just like, ugh, what's wrong with you? People, too much trouble doing simple things. All right, y'all, I think I'm going to take off pretty soon here. So unless there's any dying requests, Thank you, Joe. I will. I definitely will check. In fact, I was just looking at it right now. I do try to check it more like once a day now. That's true, Bayou. If you're running for your life, you're probably not going to be worried about how much food and water you have. But if you have enough money to buy a plane, you should probably buy some bug out. And I will see you next time.